Hello, Serious Survivor here, and this is the second installment in a weekly series called the Prepper Knowledge and Insight series. And we're going to be looking at 3 different websites here that have some very valuable information that can really help us improve as preppers and just in general with certain skills in our everyday lives. There will be links in the description with the link to the Deal of the Week product that we'll be featuring at the very end of the video. So let's get started and check out the first site. The first site we're going to look at is a site called survivallife.com. So there's a lot of different categories on this site. Your tactical, defense, food, gear, home, and a lot of links to videos that are really informative on the different subjects. And as you start clicking across the site, some of the things you can see, I like the guns, the weapons, the defense tactical stuff. I'm really into that. There's a lot of do-it-yourself techniques that we can improve on things that we already have, or sometimes make or create things that we may need when surviving in the wild or in a difficult situation. A lot of gear also offered on this site. But one of the things that is offered here is this PDF file called the Ultimate Survival Skills Manual. And this is a really good read. It's not too long, not too short. I think it's about 80 to 90 pages. But when you scroll through it, there are a lot of tips and a lot of tactics, various techniques that we can employ. It's got a checklist for the things that you would need, the things that we need to check before an event happens, the things that we can do beforehand to make sure that our area, our lives, basically, are in the best condition they can be in. You know, that's the whole heart and soul behind prepping itself. So a really good site. Check it out. The link's in the description. Now, the next site is called the National Center for Home Food Preservation. Now, this isn't a huge site. It's more of a smaller, specialized site, and it is basically specializing in various methods of preserving food. And this can be an extremely handy technique, especially if we're in a difficult situation to where the grid is down and we don't have power so that we can't freeze our foods, store them long term. Knowing how to can and knowing how to preserve foods could make the difference between just surviving and thriving. And when we look at this site here, a lot of good information. And what I do like is when you click on one of the links here, it's basically just, for example, the principles of home canning. We click on it, and it takes us to a PDF that walks you through the entire process from start to finish of canning various types of food. This is an in-depth process teaching us how to do it, and this can be done, you know, at any time. We could do this before the event and even after the event when we start producing some type of food. This will give us ways that we can actually, you know, keep this food around for a lot longer when we have leftovers or such as that. But excellent site. Check it out. Now, the last site we're going to look at is called Nuke Map. This site takes any location in the world that you specify and allows you to simulate the detonation of a nuclear weapon. And there's various types of weapons we can use. If we look around the site right here, so I'm going to move the little marker here, and I'm going to put it down around where I'm from. So now my marker's in South Carolina, and you can zoom really far in on it. But I like it because you have all the variables up here that you can, you can work into the equation, if you will. First, we see you can select a preset, or you can go with what it is. You can enter the yield in kilotons. Now, the average weapon for the United States is going to be about 300 kilotons. So that would be the average weapon that we see. For the rest of the world, Russia and China, that average is a little higher. It's more like 350 kilotons. So we could simulate something to that effect. Let's go with the 350 kiloton there. And you determine the type of burst. Air burst and surface burst. Huge difference between the two. And I've got a video that I'm actually in the process of making right now that I'm going to be putting out very shortly. It makes all the difference in the world if a foreign country or whoever hits us with an air burst as opposed to a surface burst. And we're going to look at a really quick comparison right here. So I'm going to detonate this one as a surface burst only, 350 kiloton surface burst. And the other effects that I'm going to add in here are casualties and radioactive fallout. So when I click detonate, then it's going to show me a graphic that gives me a visual representation of what all would be affected, how far out this blast radius does go. Now, at the bottom of the site, you have the options of adding in multiple different types of effects. Like right here, you can look at everything from just the lightest effects to the most severe or major effects. And we can see the fallout pattern. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And we can see that clearly the fallout from a surface burst is going to dramatically affect more people than the initial blast is. Here's the surface burst, and let's do a really quick comparison with the air burst. I'm going to change it to an air burst. I'm going to detonate. Now, we see the air burst has a much wider blast radius. It's going to affect more people initially. This is going to cause much more devastation from the initial blast wave. But one thing we have to realize is the blast wave itself is not necessarily radioactive. This is energy. It's overpressure. It's because so much pressure has been generated at the epicenter of the explosion that it pushes out like a wave of pressure that actually, destroys everything in its path. So this is very devastating. But after the event occurs with the air burst, let's turn on radioactive fallout here, detonate again. The reason the air burst was developed was to get the optimum effects of the initial blast radius without the fallout effects, because the radiation is going to be much, much lower, if any. With an air burst, you may not even find any detectable amounts of radiation on the ground. So check out the site. There's even more you can do. But one more quick thing on this site. I took about 6 hours not long ago, and I set off nuclear bombs everywhere in the United States. And what I did was I took half of the world's arsenal, not counting the United States, half of that, and detonated nuclear bombs and nuclear weapons in every state in the United States, in the continental United States. And here you can see that. So that's the 3 sites I wanted to share this week. They're very good sites. This site gives you a really good indication of what you would be facing if there was a nuclear blast anywhere in your general area. And this can be a valuable survival tool. So I hope you find those sites informative. And now it's time for the deal of the week. The deal of the week, I'm going back to eBay again, and I want to look at this item right here. This is called the Tough Traveler 7014 Task Force Responder Tactical Vest. And this is a pretty solid vest. It has several pockets, multiple pockets. It's an excellent deal at $34.29. So that's not a bad price. So with free shipping, it's coming from New York in the United States. This is not my gear. I don't profit from it, but I do believe this is a really good pack at a really good price. And if you're looking for a new pack, it may be something you want to check out. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to check out the channel because we've got many more coming out, weekly videos in this series, and many more in some of the other ongoing series. I hope you found it informative. And for now, Serious Survivor, out.